And we are ready for a chat with our friend Mike Baird. It's called Good Policies. Been with us for years. Mike, good morning to you.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
I am well. Two things I want to start off with here.
I'm only prepared for one, but go ahead.
Well, that's okay, because the one is the one we're going to actually talk about for a little bit. But I heard that it was quite an emotional, moving celebration of life for Sheriff Heeman in St. Johnsbury.
Yeah, that was just an incredible, I was driving to the services and I'm like, I'm going to hold it together. I'm going to be fine. This is great. And then I come around the bend and I look and there's this gigantuous flag by the St. Johnsbury Fire Department being raised by the two ladder trucks. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not going to be fine. But I will tell you that James, first and foremost, I've known James longer than I care to mention. And he would have been extremely mad about how big that was and extremely glad with how awesome it was. Because, yes, it was moving. Yes, it was sad, but there were some pretty amazing moments in there that I think really resonated with all of us. And I'm going to miss my sheriff dearly. I keep saying that.
Well, I'm going to miss my friend, too. But it was also heartwarming to hear that the clergy said that they didn't want to have a funeral. They wanted to have a celebration. So I don't think James would have been necessarily upset, but when I listened to that last call, and I listened to it about 10 times last night. And
Don't do that to yourself.
My goodness, she did such a great job. And I know that it is the last thing that anyone ever wants to hear, but that was so moving to hear that last call.
Yeah, and if you read the obituary last week for James, at the end it said, in his memory, donate to two local nonprofits. One is Locally Social Gives, which does an incredible job, by the way. They raise money for the Heeman family. They raise money for Officer Gray. They raise money for flood relief. They do an incredible job. And then also the other option was the Northeast Kingdom Cancer Action Network, nekcan.org. And I will tell you, Jeff, we've been watching the donations come in his memory, and it's just amazing and inspiring to see. So thank you to those doing that.
Well, it feels good to do good for sure. They raised $20,000 for the family, and folks, that $20,000 isn't going to bring James back, but it is going to help the family out. So now let's talk about, and this was the second thing I was going to bring up. We were reading in the news on social media about the Melinda Miller Memorial Hockey Game, and it was a huge success.
Yeah, and Melinda, another individual who I knew dearly, I considered her a friend, or at least an incredibly awesome acquaintance. I would talk to her so often. So another person gone way too soon, and to see what they've created here is nothing short of just amazing. So the second annual Melinda Miller Memorial Hockey Tournament was this past weekend, or the Jamboree. I know a bunch of guys who played. They said it was amazing. They were looking forward to it, and then they had an amazing time. And, through the spectators, the sponsors, the participants, they raised over $10,000. And I will tell you, Jeff, this is not a Northeast Kingdom Cancer Action Network event. This is the friends and family of Melinda Miller who put this together. This is their event, not our event. But they chose NEK to be the beneficiary of the funds that they raised, and we cannot thank them enough.
Well, we followed that through Melissa, her sister, and we did what we could to spread the word. But when you look at the dollar total, this was 4 teams playing over a 6-hour period of time, 6 games ranging from young teenagers right up through to, shall we say, seasoned hockey fans. And they raised in that 6 hours over $10,000.
Yeah, I went to last year's event, and it was awesome to see. I missed this year because it was held on the same day as James Heeman's funeral, so I wasn't able to go. But I heard it was an incredible time, and I'm looking forward to being at the 3rd annual, and I know that they're going to plan it and do it. And, Jeff, it kind of not insurance related yet. We won't get there real quick. Sidestep. The Northeast Kingdom Cancer Action Network, we try to do a number of events on our own to raise money. But I will tell you what means so much to us as an organization, and we're so honored and speechless to some degree, is when other individuals do these types of events and then choose us as the beneficiary. It just means so much to us, and it means so much to those that we're helping. We helped out well over 110 cancer patients in the Northeast Kingdom, and we're helping more every month.
All right, so nekcan.org, make a donation if you can, or just find out more and spread the word. All right, now that we've shared all this good news and feel-good stuff here, we've got enough time to talk about, what do you say we talk about homeowners insurance and saving money?
Yeah, deductibles is a big thing here. We've talked about them in the past, and I want to point out, Jeff, that Be aware of what your deductible is. There's two types of deductibles, and I'm talking specifically about a homeowner's insurance policy in this case. There's a flat deductible, and there's a percentage deductible. Now, you typically will see a flat deductible on most all homeowner policies. That's the most common. And then you won't typically see a percentage deductible until you start talking about some companies and how they enforce a wind deductible. But there are some companies that use percentage deductibles for the whole kit and caboodle. And it's important to know that. Let's say you have a $300,000 home and you have a 1% deductible. What is your deductible if you have that? $300,000 home, 1% deductible. Your deductible in that case is going to be $3,000 for a loss. You need to be aware of that. Whereas some companies may have a $250, $500, or $1,000 or $2,500 deductible, whatever 1% of the total limit of your house limit is, that's your deductible. You need to be aware of what that is. That could be surprising at the time of a loss if you're expecting coverage to kick in prior, and you're not expecting that high of a deductible. And I've seen that more and more amongst certain companies with that percentage deductible. So I just wanted to point that out this morning.
Well, if I can point something out too here, I'm not the brightest and I'm definitely not an insurance provider, but that $3,000 isn't going to buy the same amount as $3,000 did as recent as 10 years ago.
Right. But think about it. If you have a claim where you have a $5,000 loss and you don't think you can monetarily handle that loss and you go to file the claim and you find out that your responsibility for that loss is $3,000 and you're only getting $2,000 from the insurance company, you're assuming a more risk than you might be anticipating or prepared for. So knowing your deductible is pretty important. And make sure the deductible makes sense for you. It's a balancing act. Choosing the right deductible can also leverage the right amount of crediting so you feel like you're in a good amount of, so your premium is at a point where you're happy with it, right? If you went from a $500 to a $1,000 deductible and saw a $400 savings in doing so, maybe that makes incredibly good sense. So it's a personal decision, but I see a lot of folks don't necessarily focus on that so much. And bear in mind, that's how much you're saying to the insurance company. That's my responsibility. The rest is on you. So just be prepared.
Well, you used the term personal. Each and every insurance policy, every plan for protection and coverage is personal because nobody has the identical circumstances, so they need to have that conversation.
Yeah, we're all snowflakes. None of us are the same, right? So, if you want to have that conversation, give us a call, 748-5224. Our office is on Portland Street in St. Johnsbury, online, thebarrettagency.com. We're also on Google, Facebook, and YouTube, and Instagram. Just look for Barrett Insurance Agency.
All right. You enjoy your week here, counting down to St. Patrick's Day, believe it or not.
Uh-huh. And by the way, I'm more Irish than I knew I was. I did the DNA thing, and so I'm looking forward to St. Patty's Day.
Oh, lucky charms.
Yes.
All right, good policies with Magic in the Morning. Coming up in a few minutes, our Hometown Minute with Beans Homes. First, Shania Twain on Magic.